think an assassin's do you think he's assessing his full output? Then then he goes, I'm trying to think because I wrote an arrow here.
Yeah, my
No, so
argument is that it's
what do you
likely
think
that he
I
is.
mean by output? Why does being limited to why does being hired to kill equal full output? Because his career is on the line. Then he says, do you think he's assessing his full output? You say yes. You go, 10 says, what's the evidence? And because you said he's willing to kill.
It's begging the question.
No, I don't say he's willing to kill. I say because he said there specific. I mean, I can talk about it's a generalization. It's objectively a generalization, but right now. We could say, right? Like you can say
YouTube.
Like this is genuinely not what you said, because you know.
No, it is.
We caught
it is
you
a
lying
generalization.
before.
It's a generalization because you can listen back to it.
And then the first time you said you didn't say something, we caught you lying. You know, and you didn't do anything. We caught you lying.
Feel free to look at it be a clear generalization.
Because
I say because he's there to kill Maya Ducard, and then he says, I guess I can take out 2 birds with 1 stone, referring to Damian as well. So I'm saying that it's like his reputation on the line.
What's begging the question?
And then why he's willing. I mean, I disagree with the begging the question because again, it's different.
What do you think begging the question is?
Right?
What do you think begging the question is?
Begging the question would be like, for example, if you said, like, why is Deathstroke? I go, like, Deathstroke's willing to kill. Then you go, well, why does willing to kill mean that you're going to go all out? And then I go, because he's willing to kill, right? Like that's begging. It's just asking.
Well, no, begging the question under my account could just mean that the primacy is just parasitic to what the conclusion is trying to offer, which is exactly what that is. It's parasitic to a hidden premise or a hidden or enthymeme that you are trying to prove, which is under dispute, which you have not proven. So that's why you were begging the question, like horribly. You look horrible in that discussion.
I mean, you can go back and listen to all of the preponderance of evidence,
but you're not going to respond to what 10 just said just now, though.
Because I don't have to. I provided you. I literally provided.
I know Apple, exactly Apple. Like, bro, this guy's confused. Bro, you lost badly, bro. It was horrible.
Like again, like this is.
Wait. That game the question again.
I'm not gonna lie, Abyss, drop the fuck off the panel.
No.
Let me enjoy talk. You're fucking garbage, Abyss. What's up, Joey?
Like I don't just try to be a cooler person, bro.
Wait, hold on. Wait, before you go, Joey. I haven't said anything about this guy Abyss since we spoke about the debate, or like 2 days after that debate we had, right? Randomly in a live, he's just gargling my shit, talking about some 10's not that good, bro. 10's kind of like he's not supposed to be
fair, the same
he loses in any substance. This nigga Abyss is garbage and his head is long as fuck.
The same thing's been happening to me from your people. I haven't said.
Yeah, I don't. You can handle that with them.
Who other than who said that?
Like who?
I heard. Well, I was just scrolling today. Victory was talking about me and a few other people.
What did Victory say about you?
I can't quote it directly.
Okay.
It just was.
This is my talking. This is what I'm saying. These guys are literally stupid.
I can't quote it directly. It was something about me not being that good, though. Like just in general. That was the general premise. Like Victory.
They never have any evidence.
They
can't even recite shit properly. Goodness gracious! Can you give us anything that Victory said about you?
He said.
God promised to God it wasn't disrespectful.
When I was scrolling, he said that he doesn't think I'm versatile. We talked about it. I do agree with it. But it was just talking about me.
Is that an insult?
What? Yeah, but that's the same.
Is that similar to what Abyss said to me? You think that's like?
Yes, to say here.
Similar?
You think in terms of you don't think that's true? That him having an opinion on me
being true is not what's in question.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm saying, do you think it's not fair that someone makes a critique of me and my ability to debate, and then someone makes a critique of you?
It wasn't just a critique of my ability.
That ultimately is just.
It wasn't just a critique of my ability. He was calling me garbage.
In terms of a debater, it's just a critique.
Oh my God, it's prescribed. Okay, the term garbage is prescribed to the critique, so it's a little bit more complex than simply just saying you lack versatility.
I do agree that
you're very confused.
It's definitely no. I don't disagree with you. I'm not confused. I think.
Okay, so if you don't disagree with me, then why are you saying they're similar?
I just think the critique.
Then why are you saying not even similar? Why are you saying they're even why are you saying they're even synonymous?
Because they're both.
Wait, you think they're synonymous?
Regardless, can we go back to the conversation?
Wait,
that's embarrassing.
Wait, hold on.
They were both
because it's your live.
Because
it's your live. I'm gonna ask you.
You don't think critiquing? I understand it's. I understand this is broadly.
These guys never have anything.
And let me finish. And I'll explain. I understand they're both broadly similar, right? in terms
broadly
of the fact
similar, broadly
they're-
similar, broadly
yeah.
being broadly similar and synonymous are not the same thing. I actually feel you're synonymous, and you said fucking yes.
No,
Holy shit.
I actually
What's
didn't.
wrong?
I
Wait,
said,
wait, you?
I said
Ooh,
the
you
way-
didn't say yes.
No, I can explain.
is the first premise?
I can explain.
What
I can
is the
explain.
first premise?
guy?
What
No,
is the first premise?
hold on. Let me.
Stop running
let me-
away. What is
Let
the
me
first premise?
explain. Oh my God, bro. You asked me, you told me that you saw Abyss in Alive. You told me that you saw Abyss in Alive saying you were not a good debater, right?
Oh
I
my
said-
God. Is
By
that
the
all
way-
I said?
Let me.
Yo,
Is that
yo,
all I
no,
said
by
you
the
said
way,
about me?
I'm talking about
Yo,
when I
Joy,
called
by
it
the way-
synonymous.
Yo, what's
Holy
wrong with
shit.
this garbage nigga?
Yo, by the
Holy
way,
shit.
the
Let me
extent,
finish, and I'll
Friends
tell
with,
you why I called
made
them
along.
synonymous.
Dude,
the
Rick was
extent
friends
of
with
what
made
I
along
said
the
though,
way.
by the way, all I said, bro, is I said I don't think this guy 10 is that good, and then I
Yo,
explained why
my
I don't think he's that
goodness.
good.
Nobody
The
said that
same way-
about Joy, so that's the point. That's what's under dispute.
That's
They're not
what-
synonymous,
where's
as you
this-
agreed they were
literally
synonymous.
Wait,
What-
so
They're
where's
not
this?
synonymous.
Where's this?
Victory did not say you were not good. He said
That's-
you lacked
Wait, so
versatility
where's this
because,
now?
and you went up there and you got
What do you think the
pushed
implication
around
of that
by
is?
him.
What do you think the
Wait, but
implication
you
of that
aren't
is?
good.
Like
This
you're an
guy real?
embarrassment.
What do you think the implication of me
What is it?
being
Wait,
a
hold on,
not
hold on.
versatile
Victory,
debater?
Victory. Yo, stop talking. Victory,
What do you think
Victory.
it is?
Were you calling him bad?
No, bro. I don't think like anyone below us like. was it, like, like
Yo,
I
let's
ain't
get the
gonna
implication
clarify
from
what
Joy
I mean.
now.
Hey,
Like,
actually,
Joy, unmute,
actually,
unmute,
wait,
Joy.
Victory,
Unmute.
Victory, because I said it to you. I have a question. Was or was not the extent of what I said about 10? I said, quote unquote, I don't think he's a great debater because of these things. Where's this like notion that
It could
said he
be
was
prescribed,
garbage
but
from?
you're saying I'm a bad debater because of it. That's the
When
entire
did,
thing
wait,
with your
when
dispute.
did,
You're
when
not
did,
tracking, you
wait,
absolute
so
fucking
so
wrong-head
victory,
idiot.
victory,
So
when did I ever,
when you prescribe
wait,
garbage
so,
to the fact that he
when
lacks
did I say
substance
garbage?
within
When
this
did I say
said content, garbage, not a good debater, similar. So anyways, when you
That's not
prescribed
true.
it, so when
That's
you
not true at all.
prescribe this to what we're talking about and calling me or saying that I
Wait,
lack
what?
substance in these topics or etc., you said I would lose and I should go down
I
because of
no,
this.
that's
That's
not what I
not
said.
similar to what Victory
What I
said about
said was,
Joy. Do you think
wait,
it's similar
so
to what Victory said about Joy? Yes or no?
so
Do you think
victory
it's
is
similar to what Victory said about Joy? Yes or no?
what? I didn't say any of what you said. That's
Okay,
not
then
what I
what the
said
fuck
at
are you
all.
talking
I
about
said,
then? Shut
I
up,
said,
nigga. Yo, Joy.
wait,
Yo, Joy. Unmute,
So
Joy.
victory, because
Unmute,
you were
Joy.
there and I
Unmute,
was
Joy.
talking to you
I
about
said,
it. I need you
the
to explain what I
implication.
said, bro.
I think the implication I felt was similar to the same implication you felt.
Oh, the implication he
are-
felt. Now it's
you-
what he felt. Oh
you
my god.
are-
Joy,
That's
what
garbage.
is the first premise?
You,
What is the first premise?
Yo, is G a constant term in your argument, Joy?
well, I'm just so confused. Like,
This nigga real.
yo, can we just talk? Like, I'm cool with the
you know
bitching
what's
music.
so,
Can you mute
you know
your
what's so
voice so we
ironic?
can have a convo?
Wait, Joy,
Thank you.
Joy, yo, my son,
I ain't
be quiet
gonna
when
lie.
daddy's talking. So listen, you know what's so ironic? He says I'm gonna lose in substance, but I beat
Is
both of
this
them
nigga
2v1
real?
in substance.
I mean,
I beat both of them 2v1 in substance.
Wait,
Abyss
by
had
the
literally
way-
one argument in
Shut
our
the
whole
fuck up,
conversation.
garbage nigga. You guys are fucking garbage. All you guys do is posture and literally fucking lie. You are so ass. Yo, Joy, me and you can 1v1 debate right now. You can bring just Joy up and I'll beat him up. Any substance, no matter.
I mean, I'm down to have the convo, but what I think, and this is what I was telling Vulcan, so I'm happy to finish it, is I don't think I was necessarily begging the question. I'm happy to re-listen to it and see if I was. But I think even if I did theoretically beg the question, right? Like in this world where like I'll just steel man the idea I did, right? I think still my argument is based on a preponderance of evidence and wasn't like even like there was no interaction of the idea that I was begging the question, therefore conceding. Like there was nothing to even call upon that being a possibility. But ultimately, I still ended up with an argument that just blatantly supported my premise, which I think is like the important part of the argument.
It's supporting your premise is not the problem. When I said it's parasitic, right? Okay, this is what I'm explaining. You begged the question because you repeatedly assumed the exact thing that you were supposed to prove. The claim that you needed that you needed to establish was that Deathstroke was using near maximum effort / output, right? But obviously, instead you went into instead of independently proving that thing, all you did was you kept using premises that already smuggled the assumption that Deathstroke was going all out. For example, you said Deathstroke wants to protect his reputation. Then you also don't move yet. You said, my bad, because I got restricted. You said Deathstroke wants to protect his reputation. That's the first thing you said. And you said, therefore, from that, he would try as hard as possible, and therefore he is going all out. That's circular because the middle step of that, the second premise, or the second step where you say, therefore he would try as hard as possible, that's trying hard equals maximum output.
Sure.
That's exactly what's needed to prove there.
Can I continue off of this point before you go to the next one? Actually, I don't disagree with you here. I think it's fair to say that's circular.
Wait,
to
so
say
he
that
doesn't disagree that he begged the question, but he disagrees that he begged the question?
Let me finish, please. I think it's possible that argument is circular. I think it's irrelevant to the
What does that even mean?
I think it's overall irrelevant to the argument because the argument continued and reached a plethora of non-circular evidence suggesting the fact that Damian was both not trying that hard and that Deathstroke would likely be motivated to try harder, which I think is the ultimate point, right? Even if you make an argument that's wrong, your stance in finding a common truth isn't taken away from you. Let's say I did beg the question. I made a fully circular argument. My first argument's completely wrong and thrown away. It still doesn't change the fact that there's a preponderance of evidence supporting my conclusion. No? Okay, I think he got banned.
He got 2 restrictions. I don't know. I just came back.
Yeah, he did get 2 restrictions. He was saying crazy stuff. It's not really his fault, but he was saying crazy stuff.
Can I let him back up or not?
You're probably not going to be able to. Did you hear my argument though?
No,
because I have 20 minutes. Okay. So I was saying to 10, because this is just what I believe to be the truth, right?
Listen, so essentially the problems with that, there's a lot of problems with that. My bad, I got another one, but no, that was already the other one. Because even if you abandon the original circular argument that I replaced to you and you say, oh, you're abandoning that. Let's say you're abandoning that, right? The replacement that you were trying to do or the replacement evidence, it still has the same problem that I was saying earlier. It's parasitic on a hidden premise. When you say Deathstroke has money on the line or Deathstroke has reputation on the line or Deathstroke is threatening lethal force, these things support a weaker conclusion than what you were trying to do. Deathstroke is probably more motivated than Damian. Deathstroke is probably more serious than Damian. Deathstroke is probably has lethal intent. All these things are not under contention. But these things are not. Yeah. What's what? Sorry.
What was the overall premise we were talking about?
Yeah, but the actual conclusion that you needed to prove was Deathstroke is fighting at near maximum output.
No, it's not. The actual conclusion I needed to prove was that context helps Damian Wayne look better in specific situations, including the fight against Deathstroke, which was called directly into question. Now, what
was the question that I asked you in reference to that? Because obviously it's indexed to that, it's prescribed to that. But when I ask you, is he going all out? That's obviously indexed to the context not being good in his favor because he's facing someone who's not going all out.
Yeah, but only if we didn't reach the conclusion, which we reached, that there's more likelihood, or at least higher probability of Deathstroke trying and higher probability of Damian not trying, because Damian not trying never went contended. And Deathstroke probably trying was supported by a preponderance of evidence.
No,
even if you disagree with the majority of the evidence, and then you say one of the pieces of evidence was circular, we still have arguments that went unattended practically, like Damian or Deathstroke leading with the same opening move that he used against Jason when he admits that he was trying to kill Jason in one move.
Yeah, that doesn't follow. So
if you lower the conclusion, it doesn't follow. It doesn't need to be 1-to-1.
It doesn't follow.
It needs to show.
It doesn't follow. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help what you're saying. So if you lower the conclusion, excuse me, if you lower the conclusion to Deathstroke was probably trying harder and Damian was probably not trying as hard, then obviously, you would have a much better position than what you were trying to prove about maximum output, even though you guys literally made that claim.
Well, I do want to clarify this, and I promise I'll let you go. If you listen to the recording again, I know you have, obviously, because you posted it, right? But if you listen to the recording again, you can hear very clearly where Abyss goes, yeah, Deathstroke would be going all out. And then after Abyss is done talking and you're arguing with Abyss, I say clearly, this isn't my argument. I don't want to go off of this. And I go into a separate argument about, the idea that I don't think willing to kill always determines, trying to kill someone. Because I don't believe that's true for Deathstroke. Just personally, in my own feelings, right? I think he can not go all out. So I say that directly to you, that I don't want to go off the back of Abyss's argument here. nor did I like ask Abyss to make an argument. Although I think he would happily try to prove his, I didn't want to give him an opportunity to do that because I want to talk to you, right? So that's in the recording where I say clearly that I don't want to go off the back of the argument that Deathstroke is always going all out. And I just want to make an argument from probability of why I believe Deathstroke was likely going all out or trying super hard. That's in the recording. So like I understand why you're like
So-
using Abyss's stance and my stance and saying my
Monologue?
stance contradicts his.
The monologue? Okay. So that makes the defense as to what you're saying now, it makes it more defensible, I would agree. But if you're explicitly rejecting the things like, oh, Deathstroke trying to unalive goes into always going all out, which is what you're rejecting now, then obviously the circular argument beforehand, let's say you're rejecting that now. The problem is that your argument is more so Deathstroke was probably trying harder than usual when it comes to lethal intent and contact and reputation, etc. And these his use of weapons, etc. Even though like the content, even though we didn't get into that, literally disagrees with all that. But like, let's say we're independent of that, right? The problem is that this weakens the probability argument. It still doesn't it still doesn't get you the conclusion that you want, where Damian's performance here is a stronger scaling feat per se, or it's more so just context based in his favor. Because I can literally still say, even if I grant the Deathstroke was more activated or motivated, not activated, motivated than average, right? Why does why does that make Damian even slightly relative to him?
I mean, I talk about that in
You
like,
didn't.
I did. I said that Damian was able to get the advantage in hits, which is true, and the source material does agree with that, whether you think so or not.
You think the source material comics are? Can you come up when I show these panels?
No,
he gets the advantage in hits.
You can show the panel
He gets
Damian does.
advantage in hits?
Damian lands more
Are we
hits, he
serious?
evades more strikes, and he leads him.
That does. Do you think that answers my question adequately?
No, but I'm saying the
No, it
advantage.
doesn't. Oh, it doesn't. So I don't care about it, to be honest.
I'm saying that whether you think it addresses your question or not, it still went
I'm
completely
asking
unattended.
you if you think that's an adequate answer or not. And explain why.
I think it's very important to the context of Damian's performance that he landed more strikes, evaded more strikes, and led Deathstroke into more traps, which falls under the category, as we already classified earlier in the recording, as Krav Maga, right? So I do think it's important. And I think it did just go unattended completely because you didn't care, which was fine.
No, relax. So that still doesn't really save anything about. Excuse me, sorry. So even if let's say even if I grant that Damian landed more hits, right? I can grant that, right? And maybe avoided more attacks, and maybe use the environment in a better against Deathstroke. I can still respond by saying, "Oh, why should I treat that as meaningful if Deathstroke was never shown at a high enough output level for the feat to even matter?" You didn't prove that. And I referenced that a multitude of times throughout our debate. That's something you could not answer. That's the entirety of the argument.
I do answer it in the conclusion. So you say that.
Can you answer it now without posturing, please?
I would like to just use what I actually said because it's easier. So when you brought that up,
I don't care.
At the very end,
if you actually said it,
at the very end,
answer it now, please.
It happens with 10 minutes left. At the very end, when you bring that up, I talk about how there's a potential possibility that Deathstroke wasn't fully prepared for Damian Wayne. Therefore, maybe there's this one inkling of likelihood that Deathstroke wasn't as prepared as possible, but the same inkling of likelihood falls on Damian, who was absolutely not prepared for the interaction. And then I talk about directly the fact that Damian, at the time, cut off killing, and then also was severely limited because of the circumstance of protecting others. So I talk about all of those factors directly in response to the idea of why it would still be impressive if Deathstroke wasn't going all out, because all of Deathstroke's disadvantages would fall on Damian as well, plus added advantages on Damian's shoulders as well, including like physical. I think I talk about Damian being like much physically less demanding than Deathstroke and like paling to him in like physical ability. Okay.
So, like, obviously, this is obviously a little bit changed from what you actually did say, because you didn't say any of that. Can you shut up real quick? Can you shut up while I'm going though? Can you shut up while I'm going?
Sure.
Okay. So, anyways, so I can still say, even if Damian had disadvantages here, like, that does not prove he performed well enough for the feat to become a major in the scaling evidence kind of category there, right? because the scene or the scenario, the sequence, it still ends with Deathstroke controlling the situation and getting what he wants and leaving.
Well, that's an argument you never made. I'm happy to like go into why I think that argument is like not necessarily relevant in this case. Like of Deathstroke being paid off and why he was paid off and how much money he was paid off directly, which is presumably double. But I do think if you brought that up, we would have had to continue talking about it. Like you just didn't bring it up, so I don't know why we're using that as like this potential like defeater to a claim.
The matching
that was never
advantages. The reason why I even brought it up is because it's definitely parasitic on that, because the matching advantages, it doesn't equal proof of any meaningful relative performance, which is what you were attempting to prove there. The argument that you have, no, like, I literally didn't say anything, and you're literally interrupting me. You got to calm yourself down. You have a fucking problem. So, anyways, as I was saying, your entire argument is essentially that Deathstroke may not have been fully prepared, but Damian also was not fully prepared. So, and Damian had extra burdens, like let's say protecting people and not unaliving people. But obviously, like I can simply just grant all of that and still ask the question that, okay, even I did this in the debate, something similar to this. Okay, what did Damian actually accomplish, right? That's the entirety of the thing. Because my win condition around in this debate is not that proving Damian had no disadvantages. My win condition is forcing you to prove that Damian's actual performance was impressive enough to scale from, which you could not do.
I swear I talk about this directly. I say the advantages he has, and I'll give you the conclusion after it that I didn't say here, but I say the advantages he had was that when he was fighting this Deathstroke, who has all motivation to be trying, or at least probable motivation to be trying, with all of his disadvantages was able to land more strikes, evade more attacks, and get an environmental advantage in an equal terrain. But he also was able to hold back this Deathstroke long enough for him to be able to pay off Deathstroke, because he had no reasonable way of putting Deathstroke down without killing him, and Damian at the time was not killing. So, I mean, he just needed to buy himself enough time against what was presumably a bloodlusted Deathstroke, since allegedly he has the intent to kill, and all this motivation surrounding it. So, what he accomplished is buying himself enough time in order to
that doesn't
and search his name.
Yeah, none of that matters, right? Let's say I can just grant most of what you were just saying there, and I can still say, oh, none of that really proves that Damian was actually relative to Deathstroke overall, because the strongest thing from what you're saying, all we get there is that Damian survived, or Damian performed completely, or Damian had some successful moments there, right? We can agree to these things overall. No, can you shut the fuck up? Nobody said perform better. That's not what I said. That's what you're saying.
That's
I don't know why you're interrupting me like constantly. Like you're dead ass a fucking weirdo. Control yourself, little guy. So anyways, as I was saying, buddy, so I can grant these things. I can partially grant these things, and I can still have the point to where I can still point out the flaws in this and say, oh, Deathstroke was still in control, and Deathstroke was still dictating the interaction, and Deathstroke still achieved his objective. And he still left on his own terms, regardless of the fact. So even if Damian landed more hits or used the environment in a better scenario in isolated moments, that does not overturn anything about the larger narrative of the scene that's happening, the sequence that's happening. Because I still won this encounter between me and you, because all I did was I kept on bringing the distinction between some tactical successes, these small tactical successes that you keep on claiming from Damian. These things are not equivalent to overall relative scaling. The entirety of the point.
You're assuming because Deathstroke left on his own terms that it's a win for Deathstroke when it's clearly a win for Damian.
That's not what I'm saying. Holy fuck.
I mean, but
win for Damian.
Win
for Deathstroke. Nobody's saying a win for Deathstroke.
The pivotal
point is that you made the proposition that this is good scaling.
Like you're just cutting me off here
for Damian. So the proposition was showed to not go to its conclusion. I don't have to prove that Deathstroke is better.
Yeah, you don't have to prove that Deathstroke is better, but you have to prove that the context didn't help Deathstroke or help Damian instead of Deathstroke. The original stance is that no scaling can be granted for Damian whatsoever. Is the original stance from the Deathstroke fight, right? That's the original. That was the original stance that Comments go hard.
No. Yo, comments. Yes or no? Was the main proposition not that he said this is good context for Damian
that's my
in
premise.
comparison? Relax. This is good context for Damian in comparison to Jason Todd. insofar as he would say that nobody rejected that any scaling at all for Damian just doesn't happen. That's literally absurd.
Yeah, okay, we'll just go off my argument then. That's fine. So we'll go off the argument that context purely helps Damian in this situation instead of hurts Damian in the situation, right? I still agree with that purely off the fact that there's motivation for Deathstroke to be killing Damian. I mean, he's definitely trying to kill him, but there's motivation for him to try hard while trying to kill Damian. I think Damian is able to escape Deathstroke, a character who's much physically stronger than him. Damian is able to outperform him, landing more hits, evading more moves. And you said Deathstroke's controlling the pace of the battlefield. I disagree. Damian's literally sending him into traps. Everything Deathstroke is accomplishing by moving forward is setting him in a trap in the next place. He's being outsmarted physically. If he was like this demanding figure who's like leading Damian into bad situations, why does he always end up in the trap? So I just think ultimately the fight and the context of the fight still suggests that the context helps Damian more than it hurts him. Because without that context, you don't know that Deathstroke's trying to kill. You don't know that Deathstroke's willing to kill Damian. You don't know that Damian is tasked to protect his friends. You don't know that Damian landed more hits. You don't know that Damian evaded more hits. You don't know that Damian was the one who bought himself enough time to fully search up Deathstroke's name and pay Deathstroke the funds out of his father's account. Like, all of that is completely beneficial to Damian. No context hurts him in this situation.
Okay. Meet up as daddy goes. So listen, like, he has an interruption problem, so watch this happen. So simply none of that shit actually gets you past me in the debate. We can just talk about the context as to what happened in the debate. You kept on trying to treat every piece of context as if it automatically cashes out that Damian's favor. But obviously in the debate, I literally was still saying, I was separating what we call helpful context. Helpful context, let me type that in chat so you don't, because you're an idiot. Helpful context is not equal to meaningful context, right? We bring a distinction between these two things. I can literally grant almost everything you have just said. I can grant Deathstroke was probably trying hard. Damian had burdens. Damian projected, or he protected people, not projected. Damian used these traps and Damian landed more hits and Damian brought time to himself to allow himself to survive or whatever may be the case, right? But I literally still ask, why does that make Damian relative to Deathstroke? Why is that anything good for scaling relevant, right? Because the question that you are never answering at all is that one. And because why are you trying to interrupt me? What's wrong with you? Are you okay?
I thought that was the end of your sentence.
Yeah, that's not the end of my sentence. You're literally an idiot. So relax yourself. Anyways, so obviously the sequence that we were talking about, that sequence from issue 4 of Son of Batman, whatever, right? That still ends with Deathstroke getting what he wants in the scenario. He corners them, he pressures them black, and then you're talking about, you brought this up, you're talking about the blackmail of Damian, and then you talk about him getting paid and he leaves. So I can literally still say that the overall exchange favors Deathstroke, even if Damian had more good moments or had some good moments. That doesn't matter. Because you literally keep on making something that's parasitic on a hidden inference. You keep on saying Damian landed more hits and he used these traps as an advantage to control the environment. And then you try to conclude from that, therefore, Damian was outperforming Deathstroke. But I'm denying that. That's what I'm exactly denying, so you can understand what I'm denying. Landing more hits is not automatically more important than controlling the encounter and forcing the opponent to react, or dictating the stakes of the scenario or the sequence, and forcing the resolution and leaving on your own terms. Because obviously, I can still also say Damian using traps does not necessarily mean Deathstroke was being outsmarted. It can obviously just mean that Damian was trying to survive and just stall the situation. These two things are distinct.
Are you done now? I don't want to interrupt you. I'm going to assume so. Thank you. So what I will say is, for your first point, because there's like 12, I'm going to try to address them all. In your first point, you bring up the fact that I'm bringing up things that we never talked about in the debate. I agree with you, which is why what you're doing right now never happened in the debate at all. You never brought up the fact of why we should question Damian landing more hits or evading more attacks. You never brought that up. There was never any sort of acknowledgement on your part about that point at all. I challenge you to go back and watch it. Also, like the idea of leaving on your own terms is something both characters did, just objectively, and like it's just what they both wanted. It's a win-win, sure. I don't see how that's a negative. And then I've talked about controlling the environment plenty of times. We already had this argument about the environment being neutral, why environmental advantages count for skill. We've already talked about all this in the original debate. Your contentions were just the fact of whether the environment was truly neutral. I don't really care about what you have to provide to the environment now, although this argument is, of course, like good. I'm not trying to criticize your argument. It just never happened prior, so I don't care. Also, like everything suggesting the idea that Deathstroke didn't get outsmarted, that's all completely new. I really don't care about addressing that either. I just think you started your argument with me right now saying that I'm bringing up stuff that would never happen in the debate, and then you brought up 7 arguments that you never brought up once. The only thing you did bring up is questioning why Damian has any relativity to Deathstroke here, and then you brought up like 6 times why Damian's relativity translates to Red Hood, which I kept on correcting and saying that's not what I'm arguing. But you just like it was standard in my argument that I believed relativity was landing more hits, evading more strikes, and winning at the end of the combat, right? In the way Damian did, which I said was able to get away and leave him in traps, right? Which is what he did. So, like, all of that went uncontended, so therefore all of that should just stand. And if you don't think that's enough of an argument for relativity, then you should have provided that when we actually had the argument, because I would have been happy to address it. But you didn't.
Okay, so he just LARPed. So all these things I brought up because these things are implicitly like I brought these things up implicitly because the entirety of the line of reasoning that I was using was based on the question or not even the question, the statement where I asked him, or I told him, prove why these moments that he's talking about matter enough to justify the scaling, right? So when you say Damian landed more hits, which you did say in the debate, and you say Damian evaded more attacks, which you did say in the debate, and you say Damian used these traps or to control the environment, etc., which you implicitly said in the debate, like the criticism was obviously always, why should I treat those isolated moments as decisive evidence of relativity or relative superiority, right? That was already built into the repeated questions that I had about max output and control of the encounter and the dictated pace and whether the environment was truly equal, which you remember I asked that, whether environment was truly equal and whether Deathstroke was actually being pushed to the extent that you need for it to even be good scaling or good context for Damian at all. So simply, all this is saying is that the small successes there, these small successes inside of a fight, these small little scenarios, they are distinct and they do not prove, and they're not proof of overall relative scaling. Right? So when you say things like, I never challenged whether landing more hits mattered, I literally did. I repeatedly asked why any of this should conclude Damian is relative to Deathstroke. That already governs the more hits, right? So I obviously can literally still say, or even in the debate, that more hits are not automatically more important than control of the interaction and forcing the resolution and dictating the pace and making the opponent react. Obviously not. So that's very, very confused. That's the entirety of the argument. So when you say both left on their own terms, that's what you also said, right? That doesn't work because Deathstroke got exactly what he wanted. You already conceded that he was going for money, and he also got control, and he got intimidation, and he got the ability to leave freely. And let's say I wanted to disagree with that Damian left on his own terms, because Damian did not leave on his own terms, more so in the same sense. Damian had to pay him off because he could not beat him physically. I didn't even say that in debate, but that's literally garbage. That was a new point. You lost that as well. So let's say fuck that, right? But the mutual victory that we can even be talking about is that Damian finds an alternative scenario solution because he cannot win directly. So you would also, and I also like literally, I contended the environmental point in the debate too, because the point that I said, it was not that for which the environmental advantages never count. I never said we can like take these things out and these things never count. What I was simply saying is that the environmental usage would only matter if it actually proves relative superiority. Like that's the main point, and you're lost.
No, I mean, I do talk about that point directly. I will say, like, I respect you for at least acknowledging that I did say all these things in the debate. That was cool of you. But hold on, I'm walking past people. Give me a second.
I have a question. When you guys had this debate, did you actually have anyone judge, or was it just a back and forth with you guys?
No, it's recorded. You can listen to it if you'd like.
Yeah, but was there a judge at all? Or I remember hearing a lot of it.
1,
There was not.
4,
Sorry, my Lexus is
2,
screaming at me. Give me a second.
Bluetooth.
Shame on her. So if there was no, like, if this wasn't a formal debate and it was just you guys going back and forth where you can dismiss each other's arguments if necessary, why don't you just have a formal debate where you have a judge that can determine who is right and who is wrong, or who has the better points? That way you can kind of just bury it and settle it.
Actually, me and Comic talked about it.
I'm sorry, what?
I would want to do it on Discord. I agree with Judge personally. But I mean, I think it's kind of irrelevant now. It's out there. Everyone can watch it. But like, I don't really care.
Well, I can
Obviously,
understand why you
only-
think it may
it's
be
a
irrelevant
favorite
now, but
conversation.
at the same time, you guys are still having the same discussion over again. So, I don't know. I'm just saying, like,
It
typically
arises
this-
because when you've seen that tier list, right? Abyss
I don't think
wanted to go out of his body to say that I'm just not a good debater, and any substance when it comes to like comic substance, I have to meta debate just to get my way out of these things. He's saying that I simply just don't have any substance. It's simply just argumentation or maybe knowledge on philosophy, and I can't just talk about the comics and talk about the substance, and I just lose these topics. So that's where Joy kind of came in and kind of defending his dumbass friend, because he jumps out of his body to talk to the big dog 11.
Yeah, but again, I
why
don't
do you
see.
talk about you at least smile when you say that? Just be honest with me for once.
Like dead ass serious, straight as face when I say that shit.
That's a little. Like, I'm sure that you're like an actual funny person. When people know you, it's just this facade, bro. It gets me. It's like actually low-key rage bit, but you got it. But I was gonna say, like, I don't think the conversation between me and Ten is negative. Like, obviously, it's like toxic. He wants it to be that way. That's fine. Like, I don't hold any remorse toward or like any ill will, right? Like, I don't really care. You know me well enough, Andrew. I just want to talk, but I don't care. But
Because you lied. And,
in general,
you know what I'm saying?
I know, but I
You were
think
being
in
like very
general,
rude
like,
in your
you guys
posturing.
going to be having these discussions where, like,
I don't
you
think
guys are
I
going.
don't think I was posturing. I'm telling you the same things I told them. No, like I genuinely still believe that the argument lands in my favor. I think because everything went unattended, it can only be accepted as evidence. Like
I'm
I
not
understand
talking
what
about
you're
that.
saying.
I'm not
Oh,
talking about that. I'm
so what
talking
are you
about.
talking about?
I'm talking about throughout, like literally, we like it was the same day as well. Like maybe another another live. You went in there. You're like, oh, I'm not the one who firstly insulted 11. Oh, I'm not the. Oh yeah, you insulted me before. Like I kept on begging you to turn your camera on and like just put your face in the cam.
said that was
Like
wrong.
no, are you gonna deny these things now?
Well, I said I admitted I was wrong when I found out.
No.
Like,
That's fine. That's fine that you admitted that you were wrong after the fact, but you kept posturing in my DM about it, so I just blocked you.
I think that's fair that you blocked me. I don't remember like criticizing you for blocking me. Maybe I did. I don't remember doing it. I remember specifically telling people who like directly that I don't blame you for doing it on separate lives. Like I just don't. I don't really care. I just don't want you to like not like this isn't the right term, so don't take it like personally. I just can't think of another term. But I don't want you to be like afraid to talk to me, right? Because you like dislike me or whatever. But as long as that's not the trade-off, I don't really care if you block me.
I just don't like you, bro. I just don't want to talk to you.
That's fine. I personally think it's good, but you can have your own opinion. Everyone gets those. But yeah, in general, like what we were talking about, because obviously I'm driving right now, so I'm probably gonna cut out soon. I just think in general, most of my stuff went completely unattended. I think your arguments, like fleshed out now, are like substantially better than they were. And I know you like read the comic for the first time after the live because I heard you in comics talking about it.
No,
Like,
I read it before. Like,
oh, okay. But you didn't reread it during. That's understandable. Like, obviously, I just know the comic more because it's like my specific niche. It's easier for me to do that than like you because you cover like too many topics, right? So like obviously, I'm gonna be more informed on that.
I don't really do Bat Family.
Yeah, exactly. That's completely fair. right? Like, I just think in general, a lot of it went unintended. A lot of it is new, and I think there is room for like a separate, newer argument. But in terms of the last one, I just still feel like my point went unattended. I think the only reason I'm being like accused of begging the question is because Abyss put up an argument that you guys are assuming I agreed with because he was, I guess, technically on my side, even though I used 0 of what he argued. And like 10, I think you can admit that as well, because like obviously you've heard the debate. I just didn't use anything Abyss argued. So like I didn't really care.
It's fine that they're distinct. There's still circularity with what you were saying inherently, but it's fine that they're distinct. Abyss's argument literally stopped. He stopped talking after like 30 minutes in because nothing he was saying was making sense to me.
Well, I just told a bit to be just like so mean because I felt like comedy dropped early and when he started talking plus I don't fully agree with it, so I'd rather have like an honest conversation. I agree with it. Which is just like would you say a bunch of times like original to understand my argument?
You're lagging, bro. Can't hear.
Joy, fucking Yugi sending you to the fucking shadow zone.
I'm gonna come back soon now. You still can't hear me?
I'm hearing you know. Yeah, we're hearing you now. Yeah, we're hearing you.
Oh yeah.
You lied to this guy. We cannot hear him.
The fact that my argument. Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, I'm fucking crying. Yeah, no, you're just lagging bad, bro. Bro, stop saying that word, bro.
Yeah.
Stop saying you're doing that.
Doing what?
With your car, bro. Stop saying you're doing that on live.
Oh, well, I'm not in the driver's seat. It's fine. What I will say though is because I think you can hear me now. My thing is gone. I was just saying. I think to your credit, you addressed my argument as a preponderance of evidence argument, which I appreciate because obviously, like, I think you could have swayed it to be like this absolute claim based off like a series of like hard deductions and like statements, but you realize that my argument's like a mix of deduction, induction, like just preponderance of evidence and probability. So I do appreciate that you did that like during our argument. I just truthfully think that like there was no counterclaim on your end besides like the parsimony claim, which I obviously like think was fine. I just offered like what exactly is demanded out of parsimony for it to still be considered likely. And I don't know, after that, I just felt like there wasn't any contentions. I don't know if you just got bored, which is definitely possible. But yeah, I just think in its totality, it's pretty clearly like a bunch of unintended stuff. So yes, level again.
I was just it's just a bit
So
quiet.
I bet. So now that they did that thing, I'm gonna go back to my original question. So, look, and
gonna
remember
go
when I asked why CGH was above me, and then the reasons you gave was like the argument that Joy made with 10. I was just curious about like that again.
No, I got it mixed up. I didn't watch yours. I initially thought the rec that I watched was comics, but it was 10, and I forgot.
I say less.
I still think he beats you though.
I bet. So I say just watch my debate with him. It's on his YouTube. And 2, me and him are setting up a debate. I just have to figure out a topic that I want to do with him. Because if he wants to do high tiers, I can maybe take a Marvel character. And if he wants to do street tiers, I don't know, I can take like Logan.
Yo, we could do
Obviously.
the Martian. We could do the Martian versus like any Marvel character. I feel like.
Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, but like absolute Martian Manhunter.
Like, oh, okay. Bet. I'd have to think because I don't have a lot of Marvel high tiers like in a bag. I can maybe do like Thor, maybe.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Or we could do like Wolverine versus. I know you rep Red Hood. We could do like Wolverine versus Red Hood, full gear. We could do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
Full gear. Yeah, I'd be down for that too. I would low key rather do like not street tiers, but like we could do that.
Sure, if your best topic is not street tiers, we could do that. Yeah,
No, like I feel like I'm probably better with Red Hood, but like I don't know. I'm just kind of sick of doing street tier arguments lately.
Sure, we could do like Thor then, I guess.
Nah, take Pennywise. Trust the easiest, rattiest high tier dog. I don't know about that.
Yeah. So you said absolute Martian Manhunter is who you wanted to do?
Yeah.
I bet we could do him versus Thor.
When you want to do it?
I got any weekday this week before or like around like 7 p.m. Eastern works because I open for work this week, so I have to be up by 4 a.m. Or like on the weekend, can do like nighttime or something.
Yeah. Let's just do it. Let's just do it tomorrow at like around this time. Actually, wait. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Yeah. Let's just do it tomorrow around this time.
Sure, we can do that.
All right, bet. Tomorrow around like 4:30, 5 o'clock.
I bet. Okay, I'm gonna dip though.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. Yo, I need a Superboy Prime prompt, bro, for next time I go live, for real. Nah, you know what I'm glad about? I've only used my Martian argument, like my like current one, once, and it was yesterday against Jade. So like nobody who was not in that VC knows what that argument is. But